You know, it's been 2 years since this movie came out, and I still miss Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart as Wolverine and Charles
And
Xavier.
we stand together. X-Men.
Well, it's finally time to end this marathon with Logan, and I'm gonna say this right now: this is better than the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, I said it. So, the plot is that it takes place in the year 2029, where after an accident with Charles's powers, basically almost every mutant on Earth has been destroyed, and Wolverine, and is only left with Wolverine, Charles, and Caliban and basically Wolverine is trying to get enough money for Charles so that way they can leave on a boat. Until a girl named Laura, who is actually X-23, shows up, and it's up to Logan and Charles to get Laura to this safe haven for mutants. So, what do I think of this movie? I adore Logan. I honest to God adore this film. Sorry about that quick cut, but I seriously do adore Logan. It is in a four-way tie with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, which I don't own on DVD yet, for my favorite superhero movie. Seriously. These three and Endgame are about equally good in my opinion. They are just amazing. First off, Hugh Jackman is phenomenal in this role as Wolverine. This is his last movie. It is really well done. He delivers the best performance of his life, in my opinion. And it's finally good to see to see an R-rated Wolverine movie. Like, seriously, it's just so good to see all this blood in a Wolverine film. And I like how they have the healing factor come into play here. Like, they did this in the Wolverine, but you really feel the most desire. Like, you feel tense whenever there's an action scene with Wolverine, since its healing factor is slowly going away, and now that he's this old man, he is not as good of a fighter as he used to be, and he's all like, "Urgh, urgh." In fact, there's even in the opening scene alone, these couple of thugs for the first part of the fight get to jump on Wolverine, and only after a few seconds does he actually be able to go berserk on them. In that last fight scene where we see him push that serum into him, allowing him to be as good of a fighter as he was in his prime, was so good in my opinion. And then of course there's Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, and he is still good as always. He does bring some comedy in this movie, and he's actually funny. I like how even though it's a depressing movie, they're still able to bring this humor well into it. See, unlike Batman vs. Superman, which was dark for the sake of being dark and just being all like, oh, look how edgy we thought we are, the darkness in this film actually plays in an important role in the story. And of course, there's Daphne King as X-23, and for this young of an actress to work with legends like Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, she is phenomenal. Like, seriously, she barely speaks half the time, and most of her emotions are this death glare, and you really are like, okay, I'm stepping out. And when we get to finally see that scene from the trailer where she's able to pull out those Wolverine claws, it's completely worth it. And whenever they're on screen together, it works perfectly in my opinion. And then there are the villains. While they're not amazing villains, with the exception of the guy with the robot arm, I'll admit they did a good job of making me hate those guys. Like, they basically torture these kids into making them military weapons, and you just want to see these guys get the crap kicked out of them. Especially in the last action scene. Like, this movie doesn't hold back in the action department with how gruesome it is. Like, in the last action scene, there's one part where a mutant freezes this guy's hand off and smashes it, leaving a bloody trail in it. He just, oh man. Also, I like how, even though this is one of the darkest superhero movies ever made, there was this nice moment where where Wolverine, Laura, and Xavier are with his family, and they're able to just sit down, have dinner, and just remember the good old days. It's kind of bittersweet. And I'll admit, I did tear up a little bit when Wolverine died, since Hugh Jackman has played this character a long, and he's probably the best actor to ever play a superhero, in my opinion. And it did fulfill Yukio's prophecy at the end of Wolverine, where she said, "You'll die holding your heart." And what does he do? He's holding Laura's hand. Since the greatest threat that Wolverine has ever faced is letting someone into his life. Since whenever there is someone in his life that he cares about the most, they end up dying. And that just really goes to show why he's trying to be distant from Laura, since he saw, like, if you get too close to me, kid, you'll end up like the rest, like Charles. And that moment where he breaks down Charles's death was just so good, in my opinion. My only problem with this movie is that there's this moment in the beginning where Wolverine is a limo driver, and they have a nude breast scene. Okay, I would expect this in something like Deadpool, but for something like this, it just doesn't feel right, in my opinion. It just took me out a little bit. But other than that, the rest of the movie is just kind of perfect, in my opinion. I just love how they basically are all like, you know what? Basically, there's a part in the movie where Laura's reading an X-Men comic, and it's not an actual comic. It was a comic made for this movie, since the comics are owned by Marvel, and they're like, okay, you're not allowed to use these comics in your movie, so you're gonna have to make a new one. And he's all like, these things are fantasies. And originally, they were going to have flashback moments of the team going on a last mission. And I'll admit, that could have been interesting, but I do like how they don't do that, since like it kind of take away from all of this. And I do like how X-24 is supposed to be the dark version of Logan. Like, what would happen if he were just, like, you know how in Origins Wolverine, Stryker planned to brainwash Logan into being his slave? Yeah, imagine what would happen if that did happen. That's what X-24 is supposed to represent. And you were just like, oh man, this threat is just big for Logan to take on, and it's just so well done, in my opinion. I adore Logan to bits and pieces, and originally, this was my favorite film of 2017, but unfortunately, it got dethroned on the last day of 2017 when I saw Baby Driver. You know what? I think I'll maybe review this movie sometime in the future. I don't know, but still, I do love Logan. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Definitely in my top 5 of superhero movies. So, for that alone, Logan gets a 10 out of 10 for an S rank. I have had fun with these X-Men movies, but if this was the last movie in the X-Men franchise, I would be completely satisfied, since this is the death of Wolverine, the character who was the most popular of all the X-Men. And that moment where Laura takes the cross and puts an X symbol on it is just really heartfelt, in my opinion. And yeah, I think this should have been the finality to all the X-Men movies. Like, this should have been like the last movie Fox makes before letting Marvel do at the MCU. I'm looking forward to Dark Phoenix, but it's just that I really wish Dark Phoenix was made before Logan. So yeah, overall, I love Logan, and while people said Wonder Woman was the best superhero movie of that year, which I thought Wonder Woman was underrated, it was good, but I don't think it's as good as people said it was. This film was definitely the best superhero movie of 2017, and my second favorite film of 2017 behind Baby Driver. So yeah, see you all later when we have to talk about X-Men Dark Phoenix. I'm looking forward to that movie. See you all later, and bye. Okay, I know I said in my Apocalypse review this will be the last time I say this, but I promise this will be the last time I do this. I just want to take a quick thank you to Hugh Jackman for these 17 years of being this character. The way this character died was perfect. And I'm going to say this right now. Hugh Jackman will always be the definitive Wolverine, in my opinion. No one will ever be better at Wolverine than Hugh Jackman. That's not an opinion, that's fact. Hugh Jackman is like Robert Downey Jr. when he played Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds when he's playing Deadpool. They're just perfect. And whenever you see Wolverine, when you ever see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you know that's Wolverine. It's not some actor, that's Wolverine. So, thank you, Hugh Jackman. You are the best superhero actor ever, and I greatly respect you for that. So, yeah. Overall, Logan is a masterpiece and one of my favorite movies of all time, and it does deserve an S rank. So, see you all later, and bye.